Hello and thank you for joining me on the training on how to set up a program. I'm going to show you on two programs. The CellQuicken program maker. You open that, you'll find a program which I'll come back to a little bit later, and then the Excel spreadsheet, the treatment program setup. You would open the Excel spreadsheet. At the bottom you'd find four different sheets: main, output, shortlist, and programs. Going back to main, main has got all the treatments within the program. Output, this is where you're going to do the different searches on knowing what you'd like to add to a program. Shortlist will give then all the searches that you would like to put in the program, and then the program is setting up the program. I'm going to go back to the output. Under column K, which is enter search words, you would enter, like example, joint, headache, etc. And then you'd click on the first button and you would find all the different treatments listed down on the left. Here you'll see the search of the joint, the first search word. The headache would also be displayed down there, so you can see a clear distinction of where the next search has gone. Obviously you're going to go through the different conditions and you're going to identify whether you'd like to add it or not. Now before you start clicking on the X's, first go down and see you would like to add certain other conditions, like you'd see knee joint pain. It says also see arthritis, and you might choose to want to add arthritis as a keyword. You can just copy that over to the new keyword there, and you can then go through on saying you'd like to take the different keywords. Do the search again. We'll start by joint, going down headache, and then arthritis, and then get to the kidney insufficiency. So you'd now start adding that which you'd like to add by entering an X under the select. So the X means you are selecting that specific program that you'd like to, actually treatment that you'd like to make a program. Now I'm just going to enter a lot of different things, not that it's going to make sense to you at the moment. It's just to be able to give you a demonstration. And the headache, you'd like to add a few on headache. Just want to make sure I add a few things which is important for demonstration purposes. And I'm adding more down there. Then we're going over to arthritis, and you'd like to add arthritis as well. And you might go over to the kidney insufficiency, and you then add the kidney insufficiency should you feel is necessary, although there's a lot of backache, which is kidney insufficiency in the note, and that's not what I'd like in. And let's say there's gout, that's also part of it, and you might choose to start treating gout as well. So once you made all your selections like that, you'd click on the green button. This takes all the information you had done here. It takes it from the output to the shortlist. So this happens automatically. Just to give you an idea of what's busy happening down here is you've got group, the record number, everything that you just saw. The minutes would count a cumulative what's happening on these minutes of each treatment. So your task that you'd like to do now is divide these treatments into treatment programs, which would be a day or afternoon or what have you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first go look at saying the amount of minutes is 1,181. So I'm just going to do a calculation. You can use a calculator if you do not know how to do Excel formulas. That gives us a little bit more than 19.5 hours. So I'm just going to divide that up to, say I sleep 8 hours a day. So that is wrong. Divide that by 8. So now it's 2.5. Now obviously we'd like to then divide it into 3 days, and we're going to start dividing all the treatments in 3 days. So I'll start on top just by saying 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just going to copy that over so that I do not waste time. Right, now I'd like to go back on my list. Reason why I'm doing 1, 2, and 3 is, like for instance, the joints I'd like to treat on day 1, 2, and 3. So I'm covering everything on, like for instance, the hip or the headache or what have you on each day. But now what's important, I have to go down my list to see if I've got headache, like for instance 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. It's better to be able to run that in the same treatment program. So it's going to, instead of be day 2 and day 3, it's now going to be day 2 and day 2. Then I'm going to go down again. Here's another day 2 and day 2. So I'm just going to put in day 2 there. Here's 1 of 2, 2 of 2. So, and that was on program 3. So I'm just going to run program 3 and program 3 on the same 1 of 2, 2 of 2. Then day 2, it does not matter the fact that you're running arthritis 1 and arthritis 2 on different days. It's going about 1 of 2 and 2 of 2, or 1 of 3 and going right up to 3 of 3. So that's going to be a 2 and it's going to be a 2. So now these both of these are going to run on day 2 and not on day 3 like you've got done there. Just going down. So we covered everything there. So now the task is to be able to say, now I'd like to group these days together, and on the right hand side here, sort data. I'm just circling down there, sort data. You'll see the groups are now all put in day 1. You'll also see it's 292 minutes. You can go do a quick calculation once again, and you can see the amount of hours, which is just short of 5 hours, which means you can obviously add additional treatments down there. There you've got the same. I'm just going to copy the formula over to this one. That's 10 hours, so obviously that's too much, and that is 5 hours. So my day 2 needs to change. And we can typically take out, let's say the headache, we can take that out, and that's an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to cut it. So let's take it over to day 1. You can choose where you'd like to place it. I'm just taking it at any place. Then on right click and insert cut cells. Now you'll see it's day 1, but now you've got day 2s down there. So you'd like to change it to day 1 and day 1, as you've just moved it over to day 1. I need to click on update formulas, as my times done here has suddenly got skewered up down there. So you need to update. So it will now update it correctly, and you can now see we now stay on 6 hours there, not 5 hours. So we added the hour and 20 minutes. We're standing on 8 hours and 75, and still 5 hours here. So you'd like to take something out, let's call it another hour and a half at least, or at least hour and a half out of day 2 over to day 3. And I choose whatever you'd like to choose, and let's just take that other headache, and we just cut it. But obviously you're going to make a quality decision on what you'd like to shift where. And I'm once again have to change my 3s. Day 2, which was a day 2, now I went over to day 3 as a program 3, and we update the formulas. So now day 3 has got 6 hours, day 2 has got 7.5 hours, and we've got 6 hours. So if that is sufficient to you, you can continue, or you might say, well, there's still space, so let me run additional things like, for instance, hip pain. I can copy that, and I'd like to run the hip pain in day 1 as well, and I insert it, copy it again, and I go run down on day 3 as well, as this might be an acute complication which needs attention all the time. So remember to change the 2 which you have there, change it over to 3 again, and I'm just going back to the hip that I put in down there. That was a 2, which is now day 1, and I update the formulas. So now you can see I'm staying on 7 hours, 7.5 hours, and just short of 7 hours. And this is what you can add additional to your different treatments. So now I'd like to copy it out of shortlist, and I just click on the 2, scroll down, get there, and then I copy that over to my programs. So I would then enter it there. So now you have everything under shortlist, you have under programs. Why we'd like to do that? Simply because when we go back to output and we search for something else, and let's say you just take in kidney out and you search again, it removes the information down here. Hasn't removed it on shortlist yet, but as soon as you enter new X's and choosing to be able to want to add additional, and you click on X, it puts new information down here. You can from there copy again and go put it into the file down there, and you can call that, for example, a day 4, if you'd like to add additional treatments. And I'm just going to update my formulas, and we can see how many minutes is that. So we've got now 2 different days, so 4 different days, and we just added another day to the 3 that we had. So you can add 2 additional like that. So now you'd like to copy this over to the next to your machine. You would click on the condition, and you just drag down, and you then get to the end of 1, and you just scroll over to the source. So you just take in the condition and the source, you copy that, then you go over to the program which we spoke about earlier. This is the program that's going to be programming on your SD card. So you go find your SD card. The top will be the DAT, the DAT, so you'll click on DAT and you'd open. This will put all the treatments that is available, put them there. And you can scroll through to be able to view it. That's not important if you have used your Excel spreadsheet, because it's just to be able to get access to the data. The next part is to be able to open a program. Now, open a program, you would then go back to your SD card, and I just like to go show you the SD card. You'd go to SD card, then you go to PRG. So you double click on PRG. Here's all your programs. You cannot rename these programs, so you can now open it, and you'll see that is now just garbage that's in there. You'd like to delete that one row, and you'd like to change the name, and let's just say you'd like to call it day 1. The next thing is you're going to be pasting that copied grouping by just paste from Excel. There you can see it paste from Excel. It puts its 6 hours and 54, which was a 6.9 hours, and it's now in minutes 6 hours and 54 minutes. On the right hand side, you now need to save. Now, we opened program 00. You might choose not to want to save on program 00, but you might want to choose to save program 1. So you would click on program 1 to enter the name, and you save. It says you want to replace, and yes, you'd like to replace because that's a fresh installation you're doing, and it is saved. So I'm just going to open program 00 again. You'd see 00 has got no change to what it was because it's not saved. Go open program 1 again, and that what we just had is back in there. So now I'd like to go do program 2. There's nothing in it except for the name, and we'd like to change the name, and we're going to call it day 2. Just click below it, and we're going to go over to the Excel spreadsheet, and I'm going to copy all the day 2 over, and you'll see there's day 2. All the day 2s are copied, and I then copy that and paste from Excel at the bottom. Save it. I'd like to save on day 2, program 2, and I click on save. Do you want to replace? Yes, I would like to replace, and close it. So now you'd continue with this process until you have put all, sorry about that, day 3, and I'm going over to day 3, copying everything from day 3, and just those 2 columns, nothing else, and I paste from Excel down here, and I'm saving on program 3, save, replace, and it is saved. I just want to get a clear day again, and it's day 4 that I'm renaming it. I just like to show you how an error can occur. If you leave it down there and you say paste from Excel, so no errors down there, so it copies automatically from the second one. All right, so there's no error, which is a good thing. And we're saving as day 4. Replace, and it's saved. So now let's say you'd like to go change a specific, let's say on day 1 you'd like to do some changes, and you decide you'd like to take hip joint pain, and you'd like to move it up to the first one. So you go and move up, and it moves it automatically up. You'd also like to say, but you'd like to move more pain up, and you'd say go move it up, and just moves up one by one, so that you can then start manipulating the time that the specific treatment would activate. You might say, but you'd like to add something to this list, and you can go to the top, and you can enter, let's just enter pain, and we can apply a filter. Now the filter would find all the pain. It takes some time as it's going through the entire list, and you'll find all the pain listing down there. So you'd choose, let's say you got a back pain lower, you can choose it from there, and at the bottom you can say copy selected therapies. So if I enter there, you'd see it adds to this program. It's now 3 minutes more on the total time, the back pain. But you can also choose multiple by just keeping in the control on your keyboard, and we just choosing multiples. Copy from there, and all that you added down there is then added, and you'll see we're standing now on 8 hours and 27 minutes. Obviously you'd like to save that again, and you then click on save, choose the file that you're busy with, which is then file number 1. You'll see it there, file number 1 that you're busy with, and you can save. You'd like to replace, yes, and the file is saved. Let me just show you that it is saved. There's nothing in that 00. Going over to file number 1, going down, and you can see all the additional treatments that we added to this specific program. You'd also say, well, there's a few things you'd like to delete, and you can choose the specific, and you can delete of these rows if you would like to delete them. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening to the training, and remember, when you take out your SD card, turn your unit upside down, and when you put it back in, make sure that the unit is upside down, as if you put it in while it's up straight, you could drop the SD card in the unit, and it is complicated to get out. So you'd like to have it face down, and you enter the card. Make sure that you're entering correctly as what you're pulling it out, and on that basis you can then start programming your unit, not on itself, but on the computer itself. Thank you.